Where and how to invest your first $1,000? This is a question that comes up quite often for me. There are several parts to this answer, and I'll try my best to answer all of them in this video. What is up, bubs? Thank you for checking out the video. Hit like and subscribe if you find this useful. And the usual disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purpose only and not financial advice. It's just my opinion. And with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. So, where to invest? Now this can be asked as what firms or what brokerage to use, what stocks to invest in, what mutual funds are the best, what ETFs are good, what cryptocurrency to invest in, what online business to invest in, what are some good books to read, and what are some really good real estate strategies to invest in. And this list goes on and on and on. All of these are valid questions and concerns. After all, you are risking your hard-earned money on something you may not have any experience with, and more often than not, the people giving advice on these matters often has something to sell you, like a course, an ebook, etc. So it can be really hard to navigate and find information that is genuine and unbiased. I'm not saying that I'm completely unbiased either. My info comes from trading stocks, mutual funds, and ETFs, and because of my experiences and tenure in those areas, that's where my comfortability is, and hence maybe a little bias. However, I have looked into other businesses as well, so I can at least provide you with a starting point. Alright, so where to invest in stocks? Now if you're asking this question in terms of what platform or brokerage to use, that's totally based on your personal preference. Now I personally love E-Trade and I've been with them since 2002. I also have Robinhood and Webull because they offered free trading while E-Trade and others didn't. And it doesn't matter how often you trade, those pesky $10 fees did eventually add up. Anyways, most brokerages are now commission free. So if you're starting fresh, this should not be an issue. Next is going to be how user-friendly their platform is. I love Webull for a few different reasons, mainly their referral program and their IPO announcements, but their platform is not user-friendly at all. And it took me honestly about a month, maybe a little more, to get used to it. So if you don't want to spend hours learning how to place an order or navigate their platform, look at platforms that are a little bit easier to use such as E-Trade, Schwab, Fidelity, and Vanguard. If you want more detail on this particular topic, check out a video posted recently by Ricky at the Dividend Project channel. I'll link it in the description below if you want to check it out. It is very thorough and it gives you a step-by-step directions on what to do and how to get it started. For picking stocks, I wish I could tell you that there was a magic formula for picking the right stocks. Unfortunately, because every company is different and operates on a different business model with different business hurdles and roadblocks, every investment into a business is different. My personal strategy on picking individual stocks is to find, buy, and hold dividend growth stocks. However, I do look at market journals and blogs to see if there are new opportunities for short-term gains as well. Otherwise, almost all of my investments are in ETFs or exchange-traded funds, and 401k with less than 25% of my total portfolio being individual stocks. My favorite strategy for picking individual stocks is based on dividend safety score. And since my strategy is to buy and hold for long-term, this strategy works best for me, and the normal market fluctuations don't affect those stocks that much since the underlying dividend is always there and usually always adjusts up to continuously beat inflation. Let's talk about mutual funds and ETFs. I'm grouping them together because the idea behind both of them are the exact same. They are both designed to either outperform the market or match it. If you are new to either of these, funds are a group of stocks that are either managed by a person, called actively managed funds, or designed to mirror a certain market without an active manager, called passive funds. Now, generally speaking, mutual funds are actively managed, meaning some of your money that you invest is going into that manager's pocket, regardless if it's profitable or not. And most ETFs, exchange-traded funds, are passively managed, which is why the fees are reduced significantly, or sometimes there's no fee at all. For comparison, some mutual funds charge up to 10% management fee, and there are ETFs that have no fee at all. So, right off the bat, you can see that ETFs are a little bit better. There are some mutual funds that have consistently outperformed the S&P 500 though, but whether they will continue to do so is a coin toss. So when and if you decide to invest in ETFs or mutual funds, I believe there's a few things that you should know beforehand. Number one, what are the fees, if there are any? Number two, how long has the fund been around? Now, the reason for this one is simple. You want to be able to see their track record, and if the fund is brand new, you will not be able to see what they did when the market crashed, like the one in 2008. Number 3 would be, what kind of stocks do they hold? Now, you can find this information either in their prospectus or in the fund report published by E-Trade or whatever firm that you're using. They'll list you typically the top 10 or driven by sectors. This is important because they might be holding companies that you personally don't like or disagree with their business model. Number 4, the minimum amount you need to invest. A lot of these funds don't have a minimum, but if they do, you need to understand that that is the minimum that you can put in to start their funding. So if their minimum is $10,000 and you're only looking to invest $1,000, that fund is no longer viable to you. Number 5, minimum time commitment you have to hold on to the fund before cashing out. Otherwise, they will usually charge you a penalty. Now, most of the funds will have a time holding for at least 90 days, but double check that and make sure it lines up with your goals. Number 6, the actual cost of the fund. Now, this will affect a barrier to entry similar to number 4. So, for example, if you have $100 to start, and the fund costs $150 per share, you may not be able to buy it depending on how the fund is set up and the restrictions. Number 7, and finally, how it has performed in the last 10 years. You can do that by clicking on the Performance tab, and it will generally give you a growth of $10,000 invested 10 years ago. For example, here is BFOCX, which is a Berkshire fund, valued at the time of recording at $29.12. However, if you put $10,000 into this fund 10 years ago, so 2010, currently it would be valued around $57,000 in just 10 years. Now you can use this information and compare it to the S&P 500 or any other funds that you might be interested in, and you can see which one will be the most beneficial to you based on past performance. Let's move on to cryptocurrency. Now this is not a subject I'm well versed in, so I'll share what I know, but my experience in the sector of investing is very, very minimum. So take this info with a grain of salt. Cryptocurrency is basically digital currency, and like any other currency, when it's traded, the value of the currency will fluctuate, and as some of these currency may get adopted by different merchants and banks, when and if that happens, the intrinsic value of the currency will increase as well. Let's take a look at one that's super popular and probably everyone knows, Bitcoin. If you invested $100 into Bitcoin in early 2013, you would have had approximately 5 shares. And if you sold it at the peak of $19,000, that's $95,000 from a $100 investment. However, there are other cryptocurrencies that have come and gone just as easily, so that money could have been lost just as easily as well. For me, crypto is a very risky investment with a very high reward. Moving on to online businesses, now this is where your first $1,000 can bring in lots and lots of profit, but it's also the most involved process. If you do dropshipping, for example, you would have to spend some time researching the right products, designing and marketing your store, and then fulfilling the orders when they come in. You can also do product reviews where you review a product and then sell it with an affiliate link to get commission, plus potential YouTube partner money. Instagram is a huge deal currently as well. Some influencers can get paid up to $1,000 for a single post. Online is ever changing and evolving. Because of that, there will always be new ways introduced to make money online. Just gotta be ready for the opportunity and cash in when it's fresh. Moving on to real estate. Now, like the online business and cryptocurrency, this is another sector that I'm currently in the process of learning. My ultimate goal is to buy and hold an apartment complex. I've recently bought a few books to study and understand the real estate investing a little bit more thoroughly. Now, for anybody starting out, they can start flipping real estate, buying something broken or something that needs repair, fixing it up and selling it, keeping the difference as a profit. I'm not sure how far $1,000 would stretch in that method though, but the good thing about real estate is there's tons and tons of other methods to make that $1,000 go a little bit further. For that reason, your first $1,000 should be spent on self-education. Now, there are tons of books that you can buy. Here's a list of some of them that I have personally read and found useful. Some of these are not very fun to read though, but the message or the lesson within them are very powerful and you can use it as motivation. If you don't have the attention span to read the books, YouTube, TED Talks, and programs like these have book reviews or similar lessons. Here's an example. Now, just keep in mind that this is someone's perspective and their past experience might result in a biased opinion or the message might be misunderstood completely. Additionally, in the digital world that we live in, there are currently countless courses available online for you to learn from, and you can really learn anything these days. Self-education is important, especially when it comes to finances, mainly because they don't teach you this in schools, and the small things they do teach you are often outdated or simply miscommunicated to you. Unless you are a finance major, you will not learn how to read profit and loss statements, balance sheets, stock charts, or how to calculate dividends, which is where some of these books can come in handy or YouTube University can teach you or at least point you in the right direction for you to be self-sufficient. Because otherwise, you are paying someone to manage your money and there is no ownership or vested interest from you. The person managing your money decides what happens to your money based on what benefits them, the salesperson, or the firm the most. So, once again, your first investment must be in yourself. The knowledge you attain really has no downside. It will be useful for the rest of your life. Once you feel comfortable enough, you can invest the remaining $1,000 and experiment different strategies and use that to learn while crafting and perfecting your strategy. At this point, the money will not be lost even if your portfolio goes down to zero, because the lesson that you're learning by making mistakes, you're now forging a better strategy constantly. Additionally, the mistakes that you are learning from and avoiding in the future will be worth way more when your money coming in has outgrown your expenses. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, or what books you've enjoyed reading or look forward to reading. Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.